72 students graduating this year. 11 from the Faculty of Architecture, 5 from the Faculty of Ceramics, 28 from the Department of Communication Design, 24 from the Department of Textile Design, and 4 from the Faculty of Fine Art. This is the 11th graduating class of the Faculties of Design and Fine Arts, and the 10th graduating class of the Faculty of Architecture.
The procession will be led by the graduating students, followed by the part-time faculty, the full-time faculty, the coordinators, and heads of departments. Members of the Executive Committee and members of the Board of Governors will then follow. Lastly, the Chairman of the Executive Committee, Mr. Salim Tharayani, will escort the keynote speaker, Mr. Ashoke Chatterjee. The Executive Director, Mr. Aziz-e Khan, will escort the Chairman of the Board of Governors, Mr. Najmus Saqib Hamid.
As a matter of interest for our guests, the design of our convocation robes is based on the abba, which was worn on ceremonial occasions in the Mughal courts. The material selected is the handloom cotton susi, traditionally woven in Sindh. It is embroidered in patterns evolved from Mughal designs. The headgear is a combination of the Mughal turban and the hunza cap, worn even today by both men and women of the northern mountainous areas.
All participants of the procession wear off-white khadi shalwar kameez woven at the school campus by master weaver Muhammad Altaf. The theme music for the convocation was specially composed for the Indus Valley School of Art and Architecture by sitar masters Ustad Imdad Hussain and his son Ikhlaq Hussain. It is based on Rag Malhar.
This year, as in the past, the degree show of the graduating students is being exhibited. Guests are invited to view the exhibition after the conclusion of the convocation ceremony. The tradition of planting a fruit tree on the campus by the graduating class will continue this year. The new graduates will plant a fruit tree immediately after the conclusion of the convocation.
بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا اذكروا الله ذكرا كثيرا وسبحوه بكرة وآصيلا هو الذي يصلي عليكم وملائكته ليخرجكم من الظلمات إلى النور وكان بالمؤمنين رحيما تحيتهم يوم يلقونه سلام وأعد لهم أجرا
The registrar will request the chairman of the board of governors to declare the convocation open.
إنا أرسلناك شاهدا ومبشرا ونذيرا وداعيا إلى الله بإذنه وسراجا منيرا وبشر المؤمنين بأن لهم من الله فضلا
with the recitation of the Holy Quran from Surah Azab, presented by Zuhair Zubi, Semester 4 of the Faculty of Architecture.
The English translation is presented by Hijab Zafar, a student of the foundation year, Department of Textile Design.
In the name of Allah, the most gracious and the most merciful. O you who believe, celebrate the praises of Allah and do so often, and glorify Him morning and evening. He it is who sends blessings on you as pseudo His angels, that He may bring you out from the depths of darkness into light. And He is full of mercy to the believers. Their salutation on the day they meet Him will be peace, and He has prepared for them a generous reward. O Prophet, truly we have sent you as a witness, a bearer of glad tidings and a warner, and as one who invites to Allah's grace by His leave.
The Executive Director of Indus Valley School of Art and Architecture, Mr. Aziz Khan, will now present the welcome address.
Mr. Saqib Hamid, Chairman of the Board of Governors, Mr. Salim Tharani, Chairman of the Executive Committee, Professor Ashoke Chatterjee, Guest Convocation Speaker, distinguished guests, parents, friends. Today, we celebrate the 11th Convocation, satisfied with a successful past, but equally conscious of a challenging future that lies ahead, which needs to be pursued with renewed vigor, vision, clarity of purpose, and within our defined goals, to ensure the constant growth of the school by the addition of new disciplines and reaching that stage where we become unquestionably the first choice of students wishing to study art, design, and architecture. We must continue to provide education of the highest standard, simultaneously inculcating an awareness of our social commitment and to our rapidly changing environment in which our students, as designers, would be expected to play a profoundly important role in initiating positive changes, creating awareness for design aesthetics and values. Mr. Saqib Hamid, and resist Chairman being swayed by the ugly commercialism Mr. Salim Tharani, Chairman of the Executive Committee. Professor Mr. Chairman Chatterjee, ladies and gentlemen, Speaker, it is satisfying that our school continues to grow, that this year we have the largest pool to select from, and that we selected honestly and wisely. Those of us who have this responsibility to select or reject do so with the sole realization that we must be fair and honest and exercise our judgment in a manner that we never refuse a deserving child. We need to pursue excellence. Competition and market forces compel that upon us, as we must enrich not only the school, but equally the students and the faculty. We need to bring satisfaction to the founders, donors, friends, well-wishers, and parents. Whilst pursuing this goal, we should never lose sight of our core values that have been carefully nurtured. And based on sound management practices, fiscal prudence, and collective wisdom, we must neither be influenced or dictated to by individuals, whoever they may be. Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, we are privileged and honored to have Professor Ashoke Chatterjee, a prominent personality of phenomenal achievements in diverse fields from design to social communication, from finance to economics, from arts to crafts. Many years ago, when I was the managing director of the Pakistan Design Institute, I was very clearly told that if I wanted to succeed at my job, I should visit the National Institute of Design at Ahmedabad and meet Professor Ashoke Chatterjee, who, because of his phenomenal knowledge on design and design management, could teach me how to run PDI successfully. Within half an hour of our meeting, it was apparent that what a wonderful, knowledgeable man he was, utterly steeped in humility. He became my guru, taught me considerably, and in the process, I have acquired an enduring friend. It gives me, and indeed I'm sure all of us, enormous pleasure in having him here as a guest convocation speaker. Professor Ashoke Chatterjee was the executive director of the National Institute of Design in Ahmedabad between 1975 and 1988, when he stepped down to join his faculty as a teacher of social communications and design management. Ashoke Chatterjee served as advisor, senior faculty, and distinguished fellow. He retired in 1995 and continued as a volunteer at NID until 2000. Born in Missouri, UP in 1935, Professor Chatterjee was educated at Woodstock School, Missouri, and St. Stephen's College, Delhi University, before taking an MBA at Miami University. After 10 years in corporate communications and export management in Calcutta, Ashoke Chatterjee joined the International Monetary Fund in Washington, D.C. He returned in 1970 to head communications at the India Tourism Development Corporation prior to his appointment at NID. He now works on a range of development concerns, including water and sanitation, development, health, and community affairs. Ashoke Chatterjee is presently the honorary president of the Crafts Council of India. He lives in Ahmedabad with his son Keshav, daughter-in-law Pratibha, and grandson Kabir. Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, the school student population at the moment consists of 380. Our graduating class consists of 72. And when the academic year, inshallah, commences from January 305, we anticipate a student population of 438. Such a number represents an achievement and equally a challenge, as we have to ensure adequate trained faculty, the appropriate infrastructure, which encourages hard work and creative thinking. Our students actively participate in social development and projects during the various semesters at the school. As socially conscious citizens, they organize events and functions for special children, NGOs, and others. And the funds so raised are used for Cousin Hasna, for financially deserving students and other social issues. As an example, the Green Thumb Society, consisting entirely of students, are presently developing the Indus Park in front of the school building, and when completed, they plan to develop additional further parks around the school and in the neighborhood for the benefit of the community. The school's faculty, from our heads and coordinators to our teaching assistants, all carry tremendous responsibilities in ensuring quality education, and it is through them that we have achieved what we have. At this stage, I need to mention that David Ellsworth, head of the foundation here and associated with the school for 14 years, virtually from its inception, has resigned as he feels the need to move on to accept other challenges. David has made a profound contribution to the school as a teacher and as a mentor, and his presence and his intellectual diversity will be sorely missed. We all wish him well in the future. The school continues to remain indebted, phenomenally indebted, to all our stakeholders who have assisted in making the school a reality and who continue to support us through donations, contribution and their time and energies, being our spokesman and serving on our various committees. We thank you all from the depths of our hearts, sir. Mr. Chairman, before I conclude, I must share with you and our audience that a graduating class has done the school proud by obtaining 14 distinctions and their thesis presentations. And 2 overall distinctions, which have been achieved against a very demanding and a challenging score of 90% or more under a grading policy. You really have to totally commit and devote yourself to reach this level of academic excellence. In fact, Mr. Chairman, sir, many of our graduating students made brilliant presentations, and they have been invited by the members of our external jury to make these presentations at their school to illustrate the high standards of work being achieved at the Indus Valley School. I think they deserve our congratulations. And finally, Mr. Chairman, I wish the graduating class of 04 joy, success, and peace in their lives. And from a nurturing and a caring environment of IVS, in which I hope that we have lived up to our expectations as teachers and mentors. And from tomorrow, as they venture into the real world of trade and commerce, competitiveness, and challenges and pressures that will test their nerves, and on occasions indeed challenge their values and principles, that they will stand steadfast. Knowing them, Mr. Chairman, I'm confident they will. Thank you ever so much.
May I now request Mr. Ashoke Chatterjee to deliver the convocation address.
Mr. Saqib Hamid, Chairman of the Board of Governors, Mr. Salim Tariani, Chairman of the Executive Committee, my dear friend Aziz A. Khan, Executive Director, distinguished guests, parents, faculty members, alumni, and students, and the wonderful graduating class of 2004, whose work I've been able to take a quick look at yesterday. There's something very special for me to be here, because my last trip to Karachi was when the monument or the sculpture was up, but everything else on an open space was hopes and aspirations. And to come back and see those hopes and aspirations converted into this great school and this great campus is indeed a privilege. I believe IVS now looks back on about 15 years of activity. You're the 11th batch to graduate. There's something about 15. It's still young and youthful, and yet there is a sense of mature experience that you have acquired over 15 years. Aziz Khan has been a friend and colleague from the time he led PDI. He gave me a very generous introduction, but he also spoke to me on the telephone in Ahmedabad before I came here and warned me that the real business starts after all these formalities with samosas and pakoras, and I absolutely must not take more than 15, well, perhaps 20 minutes. However, in Aziz's usual way, he gave me a long dhobi list of the subjects and topics I was supposed to cover. So in order to spare you and to spare him, there is a prepared text of my paper which will be available to you, and I shall rush through it as quickly as I can, looking at the clock that is next to me. The mission statement that I saw when I went to your website to try and prepare something that would be relevant to you as the class of 2004 really made me think back on many things that I had experienced at the National Institute of Design and which your design cousins across the border have experienced, and as you are experiencing it. The mission talks about the need for you as students and as graduates of this school to take on your responsibilities in society. These are social, economic, and political. But I was struck by one phrase which said at the end of it all, IVS expects you to be good human beings. And that is probably the toughest part of what you have gone through and what you will face. In 1948, when Mahatma Gandhi was assassinated, the late Albert Schweitzer remarked, "This just goes to show how dangerous it is to be good." I hope you won't feel that danger and those hazards, although some of them are inevitable to all of us. But I think one needs to reflect on that, particularly when you take your name in this Valley School of Art and Architecture, and perhaps, as your director said, of art, design, and architecture, that you have taken on a name that gives you a sense of the power and majesty of Pakistan's history and of the history of this subcontinent. Because in a sense, for all of us who are in the world of design, our roots are in Mohenjo-daro and in the Indus Valley civilization. And what that great civilization left for us, it disappeared in a mystery. We do not know exactly who they were, what they thought, where they went. But we do know that they were immaculate designers, city planners, product designers, visual communicators, and perhaps, if that is possible, the DNA of the Indus Valley civilization is the DNA of design for development on this subcontinent, because that's the civilization in which we have our roots, no matter how mysterious and clouded by the mists of antiquity those roots have actually become. Karachi is the gateway to Mohenjo-daro, and in a sense, really, the wonderful gateway that I saw here represents both your heritage as well as your responsibility. This word civilization that we use, it really means the transformation of society from barbarity into some element of enlightenment, refinement, and education. Apparently, our forebears at Mohenjo-daro had all those things. But if civilization is the retreat from barbarity, then every day's newspaper reminds us that barbarity is still a part of our daily human condition. So you have your work cut out for you. As those who have inherited the Mohenjo-daro tradition, you will have to enlighten and refine not just Pakistan, but South Asia and indeed the world. For a designer, the vocabulary of design at Mohenjo-daro goes suddenly quiet when that civilization disappears, and it emerges again in many parts of this subcontinent. One, of course, after Mohenjo-daro is at the great stupa at Sanchi in Madhya Pradesh, which I hope that someday you will visit, because no matter what design discipline you are attached to, that great stupa shows another great vocabulary of design disciplines. And that continues in the caves of Ajanta. If you look at it as a designer, a complete idiom of design as well as the most extraordinary recordings of even perspective drawings of architectural structures. Then the Mughal era brings us another magnificent outpouring of a design vocabulary, which is the heritage that we all share together. When the British came to the subcontinent, they brought with them in their baggage also the 19th century arts and crafts movement that had developed in Britain. And one of the interesting things that happened then was the establishment of the art schools, first in Madras, then in Calcutta, Bombay, and Lahore. And in a sense, all of us who are in design on the subcontinent, we owe something to those great schools of art, which, although they were British in conception, provided much that we even use today, including the documentation of the crafts of the subcontinent. But the British concept divided craft and art, and for them, design was more ornamentation and pattern making. This was interesting, but it went in the face of the experience on the subcontinent in which we, in all our languages in India, the 16 major languages of India, we have no word for design as it is taught at NID. But there is a word to which we are all returning in a sense, even as I see what you do at this great school, and that is the Sanskrit word kala, which made no distinction between art, craft, architecture, or even engineering. They were all the same. The man who made utensils for the temple also built the temple, fashioned the images, and was a city planner. However, I have to rush because of the deadline that Aziz has imposed on me, and give you some little quick background apart from these issues on what was the context in which design education started in India. Its roots are, the more contemporary roots are in the freedom movement, and particularly in two towering figures of that movement, Rabindranath Tagore and Mahatma Gandhi. Tagore, as you know, started an experiment in education in Shantiniketan. And at his university, Vishwabharati University, he introduced India's first design curriculum. It started with the revival of indigenous forms of architecture, went on to furniture design, textile design, and into graphics. Gandhi, on the other part of India, across the way at Sabarmati Ashram, was experimenting with the Swadeshi movement. And although Gandhi never used the term design and didn't really have much interest in aesthetics, he had mastered the design process that is now taught at the National Design at all design schools all over the world, and which has come to us from the Bauhaus School in Germany. He knew that and used it in his great experiments for social, economic, and political emancipation. The Swadeshi movement, the Charkha, the Khaddar movement were all part of this ability of him to translate his ideas into a design idiom. During that time, two extraordinary women came under his influence. One was Kamla Devi Chattopadhyay, the other one was a woman called Pupul Jaikar. Kamla Devi and Pupulji, after freedom, set up the All India Handicrafts Board and all the facilities that are part of that board and the All India Handlooms Board. And this became a kind of enabling environment, if you like, for what was to follow. During the freedom movement and after the freedom movement, there was a lot of discussion led by these two figures, but then more specifically by Jawaharlal Nehru, Maulana Kalam Azad, and others, about what was going to happen in this movement into modernity. Tagore had already been in touch with the Bauhaus. He brought an exhibition of the Bauhaus to India in the 1930s. He brought Swedish designers to Shantiniketan. Meanwhile, in Ahmedabad, something strange was going on. There was a couple, Gautam and his sister Gira Sarabhai, who had been in touch with all the great luminaries of design in Europe. And then Gira Sarabhai decided to become an architect, like many of you, and she went to Frank Lloyd Wright to study under him. In 1950, the Museum of Modern Art in New York decided to hold an exhibition called Textiles and Ornamental Arts of India. And it was designed and put together by the famous textile designer Alexander Girard. And he brought his friend Charles and Ray Eames in from Los Angeles to work on the structural and photographic concepts of this exhibition. At the exhibition, representing the government of India was Pupul Jayakar. And there she met Charles Eames, and for us at NID, the rest is history. The government of India invited Charles Eames and Ray Eames to visit India, and he was given the mandate to see what was going on in the processes of transition and help to provide a philosophic, aesthetic, and economic context for moving from tradition into modernity, however that was defined. Meanwhile, Gautam Sarabhai was sitting in Ahmedabad, despairing at the state of Indian education and its restrictions and rigidity, and keeping in touch with Dr. Zakir Husain's Jamia Millia experiment, as well as Gandhiji's Naye Taaleem and the Montessori movement. When Eames came to India, he left behind a report called the India Report, which was submitted in 1958. Today, that report is a classic of design literature. But when it was presented in New Delhi, the minister in charge, Mr. Manubhai Shah, got a great shock. He was expecting a feasibility report, and what he got was a celebration of the lota and a statement that designers must be the impatient national conscience concerned with the quality and ultimate values, he underlined the word ultimate values, of the Indian environment. And he hoped that design education and an institution of design could be formed, which he said would solve the problems of our coming times with the same service, dignity, and love that the lota has served its time. The poor minister was in a state of shock, and he said to Pupul Jayakar, Pupul ji, kya ho raha hai kya? Ye lota ke baare mein batla rahe hain, par main to feasibility ke report ke liye unhone yahan bulaye hain. So Pupul ji had to hold his hand and say, Manubhai, let me explain what this great man is trying to tell us. And if you look in the annex, there is a feasibility report for the Institute of Design that he recommends. To cut a long story short, the Institute was formed in 1961, and its first task was to create the first faculty for Indian design. This faculty then decided that the idea of a postgraduate institution, which Eames had recommended, would not do. That is because they found that their own experience was that graduates of the Indian university system had become so rigid, such a tunnel vision, that the flexibility and openness and interdisciplinary culture which design required was very difficult. So they said, let us start at the school leavers level. And NID became the first institution anywhere in the world to start a program of design for school leavers. The first batch of entrance into that program started in 1970. And then in 1972, disaster struck the Infant Institute. There was a huge battle on the campus between the founders and the executive director they had brought in. The executive director was a retired admiral. Nobody could quite understand why a retired admiral should head a school of design. But I think the Sarabhais felt that the retired admiral would keep the books straight, he would keep the campus shipshape, and he would leave education to them. The retired admiral had other ideas. He decided to become an educator. And then the great tussle began. He said, these founders are interfering in every step I take. And they said, this Bevkoof doesn't know what he's doing. Finally, questions were put to Parliament. The admiral resigned. There were scandalous stories in the newspaper of this strange, weird institute in Ahmedabad, which celebrates the lota and does other extraordinary things. close the wretched place down. It's a waste of taxpayers' money. However, Indira Gandhi asked a great man called Ramesh Thapar, the journalist, to set up a review committee to understand what had gone wrong and what should be done. And the Thapar Review Committee gave a resounding affirmation of design education in India and what it should be doing. They approved of the system of learning by doing. They approved of the system of not giving examinations and not awarding marks. They approved of the fact that we were established under the Ministry of Industry, not under the Ministry of Education, and they set out a roadmap for where this institution should go. And that's where I came in to the NID as supposedly the guy who was supposed to help put this agenda to work. Those were tough years because for the first batch of students in the 5-year program, we really didn't know what was going to happen at the end of those 5 years. What would happen when they went out into the marketplace? Would the employers say, where is your mark sheet? Or would they recognize the diploma project as a valid indication of professional qualification? That what we were sending out were not graduates alone, we were sending out young professionals who had done a body of professional work in professional circumstances prior to their departure from our campus. In 1975, we all held our breath, but not a single employer anywhere in India asked, what is your mark sheet? What are your marks? Are you a topper? Are you not a topper? This was a great achievement for the teachers and students. I am not a designer. I cannot take credit for that achievement. It was done by my faculty colleagues and by my student colleagues. But the government of India did not recognize our diploma in 1975 because it said, how can we recognize a diploma where there's no mark sheet and no examination? Some years later they did, grumbling all the while, and they're still grumbling. Our first graduate, incidentally, was a woman. Our first graduate who got a job was a woman who went out to head design at Hindustan Machine Tools, the largest machine tool manufacturer in Asia, and it was rapidly in exports. The export, craft, and advertising industries immediately took our graduates because those were the only sectors of the economy we found where competition was harsh and therefore design, the need for design was obvious. In small, medium, and large-scale industry, we used to be told, we can copy. Why do we need these young people? That changed, of course, as soon as so-called globalization and liberalization entered in the 90s. All those discussions about design went under the carpet, and the market for design became very big and boomed. However, we had a challenge at NID. At NID, all the learning is done on the job. By the second year, students are working with real-life clients. So my job as director was to ensure that every sector of society and the economy came into the campus. This was tough because the social sector didn't understand design, health, education, the position of women and children. They were very new to design concepts, but we had to bring these experiences in, and I've described some of them in my paper. We also had to deal with a lot of hostility because we were an institution set up by the government, but we were knocking the system. We were bucking the system. We were not going along with the status quo. And this gave us some tough times, but even that now is behind us. A curriculum review took place in the early 90s, and that led in 1993 to the compression of the program from 5 years into 4, and major changes to improve the facility for the first time, leading to one of our most rewarding linkages outside the borders. In 1990s, all sorts of things happened to design in India. Fashion came in with great vigor and speed. Competition led to incredible expansion and incredibly good opportunities, as well as new challenges. There was a pressure on the institute to go in for much larger numbers, and the debate began, are we to dilute education What is the optimal limit of kids on this campus? How can we help others to set up design schools? Something also began to happen in the 80s and 90s. And that was a real challenge to us, as I'm sure it will be in Pakistan. The term designer moved from a noun into an adjective. And designer products, designer lifestyles became attached to the lifestyles of the rich and the famous, those who had money to spend, those who were into the conspicuous consumption routine. And this challenged everything that we were set up to do. Where was dignity, service, and love in this new environment? Was it the Lota or was it Levi's that were going to be the new inspiration of design in India? Are goodness and profit enemies, or can they be brought into harmony? The jury is still out on that one. But not for you, my dear graduates of 2004 of IVS, because your institute expects you to be good human beings. And that is, in fact, the non-negotiable core of all design activities. But you have 3 or 4 allies now, which we did not have in the 60s and 70s. One of these is the global movement for democratic forms of governance. Once democracy moves into the grassroots, the opportunities for design demonstration at the grassroots becomes a lot easier, as we are finding now in India through the Panchayati Raj bill. A second is that the movement for women's rights and for gender equality again brings out a huge number of design opportunities, as my paper demonstrates. And then the environment movement, Agenda 21 that came out of Rio, the agenda that has come out of Johannesburg year before last, these are design agendas for your generation. And finally, there is the lasting contribution by one of Pakistan's greatest sons, and I speak of the late Mehboob-ul Haq, who left behind the Human Development Reports and a new system of United Nations, a system of reporting on human progress in a way which goes well beyond gross domestic product or per capita figures. Mehboob-ul Haq and his colleagues brought in the concept of human well-being that had to be measured in terms of peace, health, equity, and happiness. Yes, indeed, happiness. On this subcontinent, the country of Bhutan has started the Human Development Indices in a new way. They call it the Human Happiness Indices. And if you look at the Human Development Reports, and I particularly suggest that IVS look at the 1998 report, which is on consumption for development. What does that mean? You will find your agenda. So the circle completes itself, in a sense, Mohenjo-daro to Mehboob Sahib. That's your heritage. That's the circle which you now will put into motion once again for the benefit of your great country and of this subcontinent. Never forget what you owe Pakistan for the opportunity it has given to you to come to an institution like this and to serve it. We are in a generation of takers. You are expected to be givers. Never forget your debt to Pakistan. Pakistan's suffering and Pakistan's hope and Pakistan's heritage are all your strength. In addition to that, you have the whole subcontinent to draw upon. May God go with you. Good luck and Godspeed. Thank you.
Coordinator of the Faculty of Architecture, Mr. Hamir Sumro, to read out the citation and present the candidates from the Faculty of Architecture to the Chairman of the Board of Governors for the award of degrees.
Sir, I present to you the students who have been examined and have qualified for the degree of Bachelor of Architecture in the Faculty of Architecture, to which I pray they be admitted. Amareen Anwar, Faisal Bilwani, Farah Naz Alam, Hana Nasir Iqbal, Hiba Fatma Rizvi, Hina Rehan Siddiqui, she's not here. Umar Umari got a distinction in thesis. Saifullah Sami, Shamama Lakhani, Wajih Ahmed, and Zahra Tayyibi.
Mr. Misbahul Islam, head of the Ceramics Department, will now read out the citation and present the candidate from the Department of Ceramics to the Chairman of the Board of Governors for the award of degrees.
Assalamu alaikum. Sir, I present to you the students who have been examined and have qualified for the degree of Bachelor of Ceramics in the Faculty of Design, to which I pray they be admitted. Fatma Akbar Ali, Mehreen Dedi, Wafa Mir, Zainab Isbahani, Zumar Basar.
Mr. Muhammad Ali Khan, Coordinator of the Department of Communication Design, will now read out the citation and present the candidates from the Department of Communication Design to the Chairman of the Board of Governors for the award of degrees.
Sir, I present to you the students who have been examined and have qualified for the degree of Bachelor of Design in the Department of Communication Design, to which I pray they may be admitted. Ali Asghar, distinction in thesis. Amsal Naeem, Asfar Jalil, distinction in thesis. Isan Rizvi, Faiza Anwarul Haq, Faiza Adamji, Farhanaz Abbasi, Fahria Bengali, distinction in thesis. Fatma Samar, Hania Umar, distinction in thesis. Humaira Rafiq, Iftikhar Hussain, distinction in thesis. Khatija Akbar, Mehnaz Khurshid Alam, Maqbool Ahmad, Maria Qureshi, Nazia Rafiq Khan, Nazish Yusuf, Rabab Zehra Zaidi, Sadaf Shaukat Khandwala, Sadia Fatima Hussain, Sahar Rafiq Malik, Sara Hashim, Shajia Naqvi, distinction in thesis. Shazia Aslam, Sayyida Sarwat Gilani, Zavera SP Mobed, Zohair Shahid.
Mrs. Shanaz Ismail, Head of the Department of Textile Design, will now read out the citation and present the candidate from the Department of Textile Design to the Chairman of the Board of Governors for the award of degrees.
Sir, I present to you the students who have been examined and have qualified for the degree of Bachelor of Design in the Department of Textile Design, to which I pray they be admitted. Aniza Sikandar, Atiya Khalid Shafi, Dua Siddiq Sheikh, Farhat Chaudhry Arayan, Ibrahim Ahmed Ali, Komal Rizvi, distinction in thesis. Mehwish Sabir, Mehwish Jam, Mariam Vasan, Mariam Sumro, Misha Mirza, Myra Nasir Chaudhry, Nida Azwar, distinction in thesis. Rabia Moin, Sabah Rafiq Malik, Saima Ansari, Sana Chaudhry, Sana Maqbool Ilahi, distinction in thesis. Sana Tasneemuddin Ahmed, Sonia Junejo, Tanzil Saeed, distinction in thesis. Tasneem Fatma, Tasneem Milwala, Zahra Tahir.
Ms. Asma Mundrawala, Coordinator of the Faculty of Fine Art, will now read out the citation and present the candidates from the Faculty of Fine Art to the Chairman of the Board of Governors for the award of degrees.
Sir, I present to you the students who have been examined and have qualified for the degree of Bachelor of Fine Art in the Faculty of Fine Art, to which I pray they be admitted. Aisha Hussain, overall distinction. Huria Khan, overall distinction. Sara Bakhtiar, distinction in thesis. Hina Pyarali Patel.
Mr. Chairman, may I request you to accept the candidates to their respective degrees?
Graduate students, please rise to receive their acceptance.
By the virtue of the authority vested in me as the Chairman Board of Governors of this school, I admit you to your respective degrees and charge you that in the conduct of your life and in your conversation and deeds, you do prove yourself worthy of the same. Congratulations.
Academic awards are presented to graduates who have achieved a distinction for their overall academic performance. A distinction is awarded to students achieving 90% and above. May I request our honored guest, Mr. Ashoke Chatterjee, to present the awards to the recipients. Huria Khan from the Faculty of Fine Arts, who has received 90.7%. Aisha Hussain from the Faculty of Fine Arts, who has received 90.2%.
The 2004 Dr. Salim-ur-Zaman Siddiqui Award is instituted in memory of Dr. Salim-ur-Zaman Siddiqui for outstanding research and dissertation carried out by a student of the graduating class. The 2004 award goes to Aisha Hussain from the Faculty of Fine Arts.
The 2004 Agha Hassan Abidi Award is instituted in memory of Agha Hassan Abidi and given to the graduating student who has achieved the highest overall grade in architecture. The 2004 award goes to Saifullah Sami.
Put it on his neck.
I now request the Executive Director, Mr. Aziz A. Khan, to make the announcement from the Founders Award.
The Founders Award is presented to a graduating student who has not only excelled in his or her academic performance, but also has shown a strong commitment to the school and the chosen profession, participated in extracurricular activities within and outside the school, has been humble, open-minded, mature in dealings with faculty members and fellow students. In other words, this award gives recognition to the graduate who most closely resembles and reflects the philosophy of the school as envisaged by the founders. After in-depth evaluation, it was unanimously decided to present the award to Ms. Sarah Hashim of Communication Design. May I request Arshad Abdullah Sahab, a prominent founder of the school, to present the Founders Award.
We wish to acknowledge the dedicated services of the following members of the faculty and administration who have been with Indus Valley School for 10 years or more. May I request the Chief Guest, Mr. Ashoke Chatterjee, to present these token awards in recognition of their services. Mr. Muhammad Ali Khan, Coordinator of Communication Design Department. Mr. Kashif Nisarul Haq, Academic Assistant. Mr. Muhammad Ashraf, Maintenance Supervisor.
He's the most popular man in the school.
The valedictory speech will be presented by Huria Khan from the Faculty of Fine Art, who has graduated with 90.7%, which was the highest among the graduating class of 2004.
Assalamu alaikum, Mr. Chairperson, distinguished guests, members of the faculty and staff, fellow graduates and friends. Good morning. It is an honor to be standing before you, representing the class of 2004. Despite the fact that we as the graduating class have come from different backgrounds and specialized in diverse fields, we have unified today as individuals who share the unique experience of being part of the Indus Valley School. Enrolled at the college after completion of high school, the students had only a vague image of the four-year program that lay before us. Stereotypically, the image of the undergraduate program at the Indus Valley appeared to pigeonhole students in their varying departments. However, The interdependence that actually exists between the varying departments is admirable. One of the most wonderful experiences of the course exists in the ideology of the faculty allowing the removal of rigid boundaries between the varying departments, permitting one scheme of skill to actually influence the other. The last 4 years of academia have been the most pleasantly surprising and positively hectic. I speak for the rest of the class when I say that the Institute has instilled in us confidence, tradition, and altruism. The teachers, exceptional in their respective fields, peers, and all those involved with the Institute, almost enact a collaboration, producing well-balanced and committed artists. The Indus Valley School has developed a distinct culture that is instilled into every student enrolled. Every graduating class, after taking all that the school has to offer, gives back by successfully entering the world as brilliant young artists, architects, and designers. Pakistan is generating high-quality art and design, and the Indus Valley School plays an important role in the promotion of the above. It has been an exhilarating experience to be constantly encouraged to participate in the current, quickly upcoming art scene of the country. 14 years ago, the Indus Valley School came into being, and it was one of the very few institutes that was offering a degree in the arts, introducing it at a professional level. And today, fresh graduates, professionals employed at the institutes, and artists from all over Pakistan are contributing to the stir in this vast field, spreading all over the country. In comparison to the state of the arts 10 years ago, today there are local and foreign artists coming together to perform, exhibit, and further spread awareness, marking Pakistan as one of the most important centers of arts in South Asia. Due to increased effort on part of the school, we're able to interact with artists coming into the city from all over the world, making statements that are dealing with important issues, important global issues, which is of course excellent and inspiring. We have collected here to mark the completion of yet another chapter and to start another. We all stand together, anxious yet proud, filled with sadness and hope as we set off on our varying career paths. I would like to also say that while we all feel intense gratitude towards our tutors who have steered us through our respective courses, we would also like to express our thanks to all the members of staff who have silently supported us by their contribution. We thank the studio technicians, staff, studio assistants, who have not only helped us through the 4 years, but also a great deal in putting up the impressive degree shows. On a more personal note, I would like to thank the Fine Arts Department, Asma Mundrawala, Naiza Khan, and I would also like to thank David Aylesworth. If it was not for his consistent support to strengthen me as a student, I might not have achieved this honor. As the graduating class, we encourage all students enrolled to wholly involve themselves in whatever field they're studying. Take this opportunity to consume all that there is to offer in the brilliant college. This time and the space and the knowledge imparted is far too rich not to be taken advantage of. And if a time comes when you think you have reached your full potential and when you think that there's nothing left to improve, continue to challenge yourself and you will make it. Fellow graduates, we asked the Indus Valley School for a degree. And in return, we not only got a degree, but we got a family, and we got friends, and a very strong base to start our lives afresh from. I wish you all the very best in your future undertakings, and I thank the Indus Valley School of Art and Architecture for everything it has offered. In conclusion, on behalf of the entire class, I want to thank God and all our families who have supported us through the 4 years. Thank you very much, and Khuda Hafiz.
May I now request the Chairman of the Board of Governors, Mr. Najmus Saqib Hamid, to present his concluding remarks.
Professor Ashoke Chatterjee, members of the Board of Governors, Chairman and members of the Executive Committee, distinguished faculty, and you, Manai, parents, dear students, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamu alaikum, adab, good morning. The 11th of December is a day you will never forget. This is the day you step out into the world armed with your degree, the knowledge and skills you've acquired over the last 4 years, ready to conquer the world. You will, however, enter a world which is in a state of flux. The speed of change is bewildering. It is sweeping aside the well-ordered certainties of yesteryears. To survive and progress, you'll have to adapt and change. Learning does not stop on graduation, but will have to be a continuous process. The bad news is throughout your life. When you step out of these gates, step out of your comfort zone. Really look at the state of our country. What you will see is deteriorating infrastructure, potholed roads, unconnected garbage, overflowing sewers. That is where they exist at all. Blackouts, lack of clean drinking water. Our jobless rate is in the teens. Our literacy rate the lowest in the subcontinent. We rank 120th in UNDP's Human Development Index and 129th in Transparency International's Corruption Index, where one is supposed to be the least corrupt. The fault lines in our society are frightening. Ethnicity, language, sect, extremists versus moderates versus westernized liberals. Intolerance is rife. The resort to violent behavior is a growing phenomenon. So in the early years of the 21st century, the challenges facing our nation are huge. And it falls to your generation to overcome them. It really is a labor of Hercules, or possibly a labor of love. But do not despair. Look at what our neighbor China has achieved since 1978, when it embarked on a course of reform. In these 26 years, its literacy is now almost universal. Its GDP has grown by an average of 9.5% per annum in 26 years. It is now the world's second largest economy after the US in purchasing power parity terms, and will overtake the US to become the largest by 2020. It is the workshop of the world, producing 2/3 of all photocopiers, microwave ovens, DVD players, and shoes. Over half of all the digital cameras, and 2/5 of all the PCs. So if a nation of what were once opium eaters can do it, why can't we? But it will require a sustained transformation by your generation. Mine has failed. And for that, you require a dream. Dreams are very strong internal drivers. They give us the passion and energy to make things happen. And don't be disheartened if you fall on the way to your dream. Pick yourself up and start again. Remember the story of Spider and Robert the Bruce, who went on then to become King of Scotland? The difference between great achievement and mediocrity is not brilliance, but sheer perseverance. Do not be afraid to admit your ignorance. As one of the greatest of all Greek philosophers, Socrates, once said, "All I know is that I do not know." And this is really the source of all learning and progress. As our prophet said, if necessary, go to China to acquire knowledge. It is this spirit which made the Arabs burst out of the deserts of Arabia and defeat the Byzantine, the Persian, and the Egyptian empires, and then build one of the greatest civilizations in the history of mankind. So borrow, acquire, adapt, and change. That is the way to growth, materially, mentally, spiritually. Pursue excellence in whatever you do. Never compromise on second best. We have to discard the chanta hai paradigm, which reigns supreme in our country. Focus on what you are good at, that is your area of competence, and seek the help of others in their area of competence, which will make for an unbeatable combination. Actively seek feedback, but do not be defensive, and use the feedback to improve yourself constantly, continuously. And finally, always seek to win. To do this, you would have to stretch yourself to the breaking point. That is the only way to realize your true potential. You must be thinking, but how can I make a difference? But do not fall into this trap. If every one of you thinks like that, we'll be condemned to regress. But if enough of you believe that what you do can make a difference, then you win. You are the children of the new millennium, the hopes of this country. The 21st century and the hopes of our Renaissance rest with you. May God bless you and your endeavors. Thank you.
We now request the Chairman of the Board of Governors to present a memento to our Chief Guest, Mr. Ashoke Chatterjee, on behalf of the Indus Valley School.
The Registrar will now request the Chairman of the Board of Governors to declare the convocation closed.
Mr. Chairman, may I request you to declare the convocation closed?
I hereby declare the convocation closed.
The graduating students are requested to assemble near the stage for the tree planting ceremony immediately after the departure of the convocation procession.
Ladies and gentlemen, kindly remain seated until after the departure of the convocation procession, when further announcements will be made.